So welcome everybody to Saginaw Valley State University. It is a pleasure to have you join us today, and we thank you for your interest in learning more information. As Nick has said, my name is Jennifer Paul. I'm the Director of Admissions here at SVSU. You know, this place is a very special place, someplace that we are excited to talk to you about and to have your students join us with. This place is my home away from home. I actually, as Nick, I'm a two-time graduate of SVSU. I did my BBA here in management and then also my MBA program. And now I have been lucky enough to be working here at the university for the past 20 years. So it really is my home away from home. And every time I meet with students and parents and talk with people about this place, it's a real pleasure to just talk about the opportunities that existed for not only for me, but for all of our students. And I know that that has continued and has only grown since I graduated a long time ago. This place has really grown with new initiatives, and the campus is unbelievable. So what we're going to do today is share a little bit of introduction about why some of your students would want to select SVSU, what are the important notes for you to take away, and especially as Nick has kind of mentioned, this year has been one to remember. I'm sure we will all put this down in the books as a big year 2020 with lots of changes, and so we will be going through details about test optional admission and what does that mean for your students here at SVSU specifically. What does that mean for admission requirements, scholarship requirements? How will that work for students without maybe an SAT or ACT potential? So we'll be going through all of that today. So as Nick has mentioned, I will be one of the moderators, so you can send me a private message if you have any questions, general questions about the university, as we may post those out to the whole group if there's something that we think, yeah, that'd be a really good one for everybody to know. Or I'll just mention, hey, this is coming up. It's one of the slides that Nick will be presenting. And then he'll be covering that shortly. So after today, we hope you have a plethora of information that you can take back and store. But at any point, please make sure you reach out to us and ask questions. We're here for you guys. We know that this year is going to be a challenge for many of you with your students and figuring out how to get them the information that they need to make college choices and exploration throughout the year. And we're happy to help facilitate any of that at any time. So with that being said, I want to welcome you. We appreciate your time today, and I hope you get a few laughs. Nick's a pretty funny guy, so you'll see that coming. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that back over to Nick now for our presentation. So Nick.
Thank you, Jennifer. There's nothing like a little pressure before we begin, you know, calling me funny and whatnot. But first of all, I want to just say thank you to everybody for joining us here. My name is Nick Taylor. I am one of the associate directors of admission at SVSU. I've got over 17 years of experience in the admissions world, all here at SVSU. I'm a very proud two-time alum, both with my undergraduate degree in secondary education and my graduate degree in educational leadership. Mom is a superintendent. Dad is a retired high school teacher. Stepdad is a retired kindergarten teacher. I've lived and breathed your world my entire life. So let me say first, before we begin, thank you. I understand the work that you do and how difficult it has been to get through and get started this year. We've seen many awesome things happening in a lot of our school districts, and all of that work can't happen without you. And having that background, I especially want to just say, as a son of educators and an educator myself, keep your chin up. We're doing awesome, and you're making a very big difference. Well, this isn't all about you. I want to make sure that we leave some time and talk about SVSU and what we have available. We're very lucky at SVSU because our persona is different than most institutions. SVSU at its core, at its essence, is friendly, helpful. I like to say it this way: we are number one. We celebrate and are very proudful. We take a lot of pride in our students, and we celebrate their success. And then all along that journey, we're there to help them achieve that success. Those are the things that are written into our goals. We're very cognizant of that fact and are reminded of that daily, and we take the time to make sure that in all things we keep in mind those principles. And it's one thing that's really kept me at SVSU and kept me going in admissions, is because I've been able to really enjoy both of those things, celebrating student success and helping them along the way. You know, we're also very lucky because of our location. SVSU is the midway point between Saginaw, Midland, and Bay City. We're smack in the middle of the Great Lakes Bay region, and that's given our students a lot of resources. You know, when you talk to your students, it's the fun stuff, right? They want to know about the restaurants and the things that are going on in the area, but also for our students, it means resources for their career. In education, for example, you know, I finished my secondary ed degree. I had placements in rural, suburban, and urban areas. I had a plethora of different grade levels, all before I did my student teaching, and I was never more than 15 minutes off campus. So the location for SVSU becomes really important for our students. If you look into the healthcare field, we're very fortunate to have 5 major healthcare chains, healthcare hospitals here within that 15-mile radius as well. So the opportunity of being in the heart of the Great Lakes Bay region is a huge positive for our students. And if you haven't heard about SVSU or would like to see more about our region, you can see there on the screen svsu.edu/go visit in our region. We actually give a really good outline, and we want our students to be proud and be ready to join our communities as we go in. Now, today, we're going to start the presentation talking about our top 5, and our top 5 are really important. Jen has kind of set the gauntlet and said I would be telling jokes. I'm not going to do too many jokes, but this is much like that David Letterman top 10 countdown that you've always had. Some of us are old enough to remember that David Letterman was a late night host and some of those things, but you know, rather than being the cheesy top 10, these are the top 5 reasons, this all comes from science-based surveying that we've done with our students. So these are not what we think are the most important factors for our students. These are what our students have told us are the most important factors about SVSU and the things that have made them choose SVSU over some other institutions. So that's why we come about this a little bit differently. I want to make sure that you know that this comes from the student's perspective, not necessarily what we thought. And there were a couple surprises. Some of the things were very, very obvious, but these are all important factors that as you talk to students about the institutions, these are the top 5 that our students have said we would want to tell other students about in order to have them at least check out SVSU. You know, the first one comes with just the programs. There's no surprise there. You know, number 5 has always been the do they have my program and what is it? Well, we're very fortunate. We have over 100 undergraduate and graduate academic programs ready. We've got a lot to offer for your students. In those programs, there's also been some amazing outcomes. You know, as well as I do, working in education, that parents today want to know about outcomes. Outcomes are important. Outcomes are, you know, we go to college, we stress the critical thinking skills and to gain the skills necessary to be successful later. You know just as well as I do that the parents want to know, okay, what are my students' chances once they finish at your institution? Well, here are just a couple good stats figures about some of the outcomes that we can see. We've had a 97% job placement rating this past year. That job placement rating is within their field. It doesn't mean just going out and getting any job, but it's within their field. We also have 2 of the largest programs, one of the largest BSN programs, it is the largest BSN program, and the largest BSW program in the state of Michigan. So the fact that not a lot of people have heard about SVSU across the state, once they get into some of these programs, they learn that, well, SVSU is the place for some of these programs. Things you might not realize, we got a top 20 moot court program. Actually, it was the #1 ranked undergraduate program at one point last year. And moot court is for those pre-law students who are going and arguing cases, as well as we're in the top 5% of all business schools worldwide. We're fully accredited by the AACSB. So in all of those areas, those outcomes become really important. Well, here are some of the most popular majors, and I also want to share some of the new offerings that we have. Some of our most popular majors really begin with the business and management. We have the Scott L. Carmona College of Business, who a new building that has just opened up, and in that we've seen a lot of students come for both business and management, and in all of our business programs. As I mentioned before, our business program is fully AACSB accredited. That puts us in that top 5% of all colleges of business. So it's something that we know that our students upon graduation are extremely competitive for some of those very high-end jobs. Criminal justice is another very popular major. I always tease our CJ majors. We're not the cuff 'em and stuff 'em university. What I mean by that is in CJ, we offer a lot of different concentrations. Things like corrections, probation. We do offer policing, but we also offer concentrations in criminal law. We also offer, my favorite one, I had a college roommate who came to SVSU. His father was a sheriff. His grandfather was a sheriff. Obviously, that's what he thought he was going to go into. He got into our CGA program, and he learned very quickly that we have a lot of these smaller concentrations, and two of them really stood out. Number one, he really got involved in, and he loved corporate security. Now, when I say corporate security, personally, I think of Paul Blart, Mall Cop, right? Not the case for Pat. Pat actually used his internship. He had an internship at Dow Chemical, Fortune 100 company. At the time, had the absolute largest corporate security firm in the world, interned with them, and then upon graduation, he also went on and now works for Olympia Entertainment in Detroit. He works in the corporate security world of the Ilitch family, helping VIPs at some of the baseball games and hockey games. It's great for me for parking, let me just say that. But it's pretty awesome to see. And when we talk about these concentrations and majors, you got to know that we have these across the board in a lot of our programs. CJ is a very important one. One I point out too with the CJ, we also offer a minor in digital security. Students who are going in and looking at being able to keep our website, keep our virtual world safe. That's a cross minor that involves criminal justice and the computer science program. So there are a lot of those little ones, and CJ is one of those that offers a concentration across the board. Education has been one of the cornerstone programs at SVSU. We're very proud of our education college. We have a brand new dean who just came this year, so we're excited to see some of the things that he is going to bring to the table. In education, the reason that students come to SVSU for education is the amount of field work that they get, the hands-on experience. I mentioned it earlier about being located where we're at, being able to have all of those different experiences before they got to student teaching. And you know as well, in your school districts, you get those student teachers, and you can usually tell which student teacher has had experience and which student, this is their first time stepping in a classroom. So the fact that SVSU, before a student even gets to their student teaching experience at the end, they get involved and they have over 300 hours logged with the state in the classroom, working on all of those little aspects of education. Imagine being that student teacher and doing some of those things this year, the things that they're learning. It's important because they're going to get a good look at it and be able to go through and at the end pull all of those things together. So we're very proud of the students in what SVSU has accomplished in education. Engineering, we're very fortunate. We have both mechanical and electrical and computer. In the engineering world, two things are very important for us. Number one, we hold the full ABET accreditation, the same accreditation that all of your engineering, top engineering schools have. SVSU offers that, but then we turn around and actually let our students play with the toys. And what I mean by that is all of our engineering programs have open labs. Students, once they complete their ME 101 or EE 101 course that first year, they get access to all of the different labs on campus. And then as they go through their program, as they're working on projects, it's not as though that they're not the ones that are playing with the toys. A lot of engineering schools, you'll go, and you've been there, you know this, you'll go and take a tour and they'll show you the really cool robot that they have hidden away in some back room. And if you ask the faculty and staff there who actually gets to work on it, it's probably a graduate student, maybe a couple faculty members, but the students don't ever really get to. At SVSU, that begins right away, and that's really important for our students. Nursing and health science are huge. You know about the need in the healthcare industry right now. We do have the largest BSN program in the state of Michigan. And we're going to talk about one of the ways that we're trying to help students there next. But the fact that our students can come in and get the experience, brand new labs across the board, you really have to see the layout in the labs and where our students are learning to understand why SVSU has the largest program and why the state has come in and said, yes, we need students to go through these programs and really be helpful. The last one we put on there, because this has been a trend at SVSU for the past decade or so, and that's the pre-professional programs. We've seen an upward trend in both pre-law and pre-med students. SVSU is a public university, but we're going to talk about, we have a very private university setting. So our pre-professional students, those pre-med, think about your top pre-med student or your top pre-law student, they come to SVSU and they get all of the resources of the institution in the undergraduate portion of their degree, right? We do not have a med school. We do not have a law school. And I work with a lot of families who will, quite frankly, look at me and say, well, why would I ever consider SVSU for pre-med or pre-law? And I bring up the fact that while we don't have a medical school, we have probably, I consider her, the top pre-med advisor in all of the nation. Last year, she was actually the president of all the pre-med advisors in the nation. So she knows what she's doing. And her role is not research, not teaching graduate students. Her role is working with you as an undergrad to make sure that you get the experiences that you need in order to get into the med school of your choice. So that focus on the undergrad program has really brought a lot of the pre-professional students out there for us. Finally, I'd like to just mention some of the new offerings that are out there. In the past couple of years, in the last 2 years, actually, we've had actuarial science for a lot of our students who were originally going into math and wanted to get into the actuarial field, and we've seen that blossom, and we've already had some pretty amazing stories of student experiences that are coming out of the actuarial science. Our biology this year has split up into a couple of different programs. So our biological science program now has 3 different majors, so a student can apply, start in the biology program, and then really figure out what they want to do with biology. Maybe it's in the research, maybe it's in the health field, right? The biology major has split up to really concentrate on what that student wants to do career-wise and help them post-career-wise. So if you have those biology students that are out there, this is great news for them because it'll help them specialize even further. And then finally, we've had a lot of interest from the business world. They come in, and because we have the new Scott L. Carmona College of Business, and because our business program for so long has held the AACSB accreditation, businesses come in and work with SVSU, and we provided a new supply chain management major because that's been something that within the state, there are only a few programs in that, and in some of our local Fortune 500 businesses have said, hey, this is something important. We need a pipeline coming from SVSU in this area. So we've added that as well. So you can see a lot of great different programs. These are just a smattering. Again, we have over 100 different programs, and we would love to help your students in one way or another to find their passion. Now, one thing I need to point out about a couple programs, this is very important for you as a guidance counselor, is in our nursing, our occupational therapy, and our education programs, we do have a pre-admit program for those. This is a way for students to skip the step later on in their college career of applying to the program and actually apply directly to the program as a freshman. Here are the qualifications. They have to have a 3.5 cumulative high school GPA. So in that transcript that you send, if they are above a 3.5, they have to be an incoming high school senior, obviously, for us. So they have to come out of high school directly and not have transferred from anywhere else. Once they've applied and been admitted in each of those programs, the program directors themselves will be reaching out to the students to help them complete the program application after their admission, post-admission. So this means if I'm an education student and I'm above a 3.5, I'll apply to SVSU, say that I'm interested in secondary education. The College of Education then, once they see that I'm admitted, will reach out and help them complete the program application. And they could be admitted directly to that program as a freshman. The benefit in that is now they don't have to worry later on. They know exactly when they're going to start their program, as long they still have to complete their prerequisites. This does not cut out any prerequisites, but once they complete those prerequisites, there's no application process later. You can imagine in the world of nursing, as competitive as it is, this is a huge deal for our students. So we get a lot of freshman nursing students who will apply right away. If they're above that 3.5 GPA, They'll work with the nursing department and then get in, and then they don't have to worry about applying to our competitive program later on. They're admitted right away. If you want to see more information about those three, maybe take a look right here at the bottom, the svsu.edu/directadmit. That website there has information about each of those three programs for your students. So if you're working in students in that area and you know they're above a 3.5 GPA, please encourage them. Check it out. We want them to see and be a part of those programs. So let's get to our next reason that students say SVSU is a good place to look. It starts with our small class sizes. We're very fortunate. We've always offered a small class size. The average class size at SVSU pre-pandemic was 21 students in a class. Now you throw on top of that the fact that every class is taught by a faculty member. We do not have teaching assistants or graduate assistants teaching a course. You can see that these small class sizes really do help the student in their experience. And it's a major reason that our students are looking at SVSU. We attract the students who are looking for that small class experience. They want to learn from the professionals right away. They don't want to sit in a 500-seat lecture hall. Now, those lecture halls, now we're talking post-pandemic, don't really exist out there right now, right? We were very fortunate, if you can be fortunate through this pandemic, that we already have the internal structure to be able to provide a very safe and very structured environment for our students to open up this fall. We do have students on campus this fall, and I'm going to show you some of the changes and where you can find out about these changes later on. But these small class sizes really helped us be prepared for this post-pandemic world and how we can help our students remain successful. So that's been a big reason. Now here's the other, number 3. We're very fortunate. Our dorms have been ranked #1 in the nation, and it's for 2 different reasons. The first reason is, quite frankly, if you've ever had a chance to visit, you'll realize our dorms are beautiful. Our freshmen live better than I do. I'm coming to you live from the Taylor family man cave downstairs in my house. Our freshmen have it better than I do. It's pretty amazing. No community bathrooms, air conditioning, heating, internet, everything already included. Pre-pandemic, we were already de-densifying, so most rooms were 1% at a time. This year, we've obviously de-densified all the way across the board, so our students are living in their own bedroom. Again, it's amazing what we have to offer at SVSU for the dorm rooms. But that's only one part of the ranking. The other part of the ranking, I think, is just as important, and that other part is the thriving community of student organizations that we have. SVSU has transitioned over the past 20 years away towards a residential campus, but also towards really investing in the student organizations and the things that we have to offer our students. Why is this important? Our students have told us they love the organizations, and through research, we've been able to prove and see that our retention rate increases as we get our students involved in these organizations. Because of that, a school of SVSU size, we're right around 8,000 students this fall. Actually right at 8,000 students this fall coming out. We have over 200 organizations for those students to choose from. So schools 2 times our size don't offer as many student organizations that SVSU does. And the reason that we do that is because we know it directly relates back to their retention and their success in the class. So we've put extra emphasis. I talked earlier about the pre-med students. One of our largest clubs and organization is the Pre-Health Society. These students get together with Heidi Lang, the advisor, and in their major, their program, quote unquote, they actually have extracurricular activities that are helping them towards graduation. And the investment that SVSU has put into these is really starting to pay off for us. We're seeing an increase in our retention rate. We're seeing an increase in student success, and we're going to continue to do that and continue that investment because we know that's one of the reasons we're ranked #1 in the nation for our on-campus experience. And we're very, very proud of that here at the university. Okay, we're getting back to the final 2. Number 2, one of the reasons our students have said SVSU is the right fit for them, it's the amount of support that we provide. Whether it's the whether it's the Multicultural Student Services Office that's providing programming for diversity and inclusion, whether it's our Career Services Office, which is a full-scale career services office to help students both in their undergraduate and then after they graduate find jobs and be as competitive as they can for their dream career, whether it's simply the Academic Advising Office that has totally transitioned this year to make sure that they can meet the students where they're at. They've been fully available, and they've actually seen more students this year during the pandemic than they did the previous year because of all the changes that they've made to reach out and support our students. That is a huge difference. Every institution talks the talk. You're not going to find an institution that doesn't tell you they have tutoring, that they don't offer it. SVSU walks the walk. We have a complete floor of the library dedicated to student success that holds the writing center, the math and science tutoring center. Students can go in at any time and get help in the areas that they need. They just have to show up. They just have to go in and reach out and be a part of that. And the amount of support that SVSU offers for those students is pretty substantial. I would love if you have questions about any of the support your students need. Again, our live Q&A is open and available. You can see Jennifer's typed some things in there. Ask about something specific. We'd love to tell you about all the different support that SVSU provides those students. And we're very proud of the fact that we're continuing post-pandemic to provide this support. I know you're reading the news and you're seeing institutions and ways that they're trying to fixate on their budgets. We're going to continue to support our students all the way through. We support and we celebrate our student success. That's just what SVSU does. So the number one reason, we're getting there, number one reason, time and time again, it's proven, we just provide the best value for our students. Number one, we have the lowest state tuition of all the public universities. So that helps. That's just bottom dollars and cents. It makes sense, no pun intended. But number two, also, we just provide the in-demand programs. So it's a combination of providing the programs that students need to be successful, along with making sure that we're doing it responsibly and at a cost that our students can afford in ways that we can help our students to afford it. Nobody beats SVSU in that area. And our students tell us that again and again. And I think it's pretty amazing that students in this day and age will tell you that a university is doing everything they can not to charge them extra. Usually when you talk to them, they're going to complain about tuition rates or these things. You talk to an SVSU student, they'll tell you how SVSU is trying to help them. When you take a look just at dollars and cents, how we can do it, we are, again, the most affordable of the 15 public universities per year right now for just tuition and our fees. For a student who's going to earn 28 credit hours in the year, our average right now is $10,480. When you look at all of the public universities in the state of Michigan and you combine them all together, their average is exactly $2,000 more than SVSU per year. So we definitely have made strides in that area to make sure that our students can afford SVSU and afford what the charge is going to be and how they can afford their education. We're very proud of the fact that our students graduate with the least amount of debt. Our students work very hard in our financial aid staff, and SVSU works very hard to make sure that we find the best financial aid resources for your students along the way. When you look at that and you include room and board and housing, those types of things, again, tuition and fees, housing and meals, about $10,850 for the year. Books and supplies, about $1,076. Again, that's an average. I love that. But for a total year, an incoming freshman this year, we've been telling them we were expecting about $22,406. That's a lot of money. Even being here alone in the Taylor family man cave, I can feel the energy get sucked out of the room when I say a number like that. But I want you to know that we do everything possible to make this affordable for our students. We're going to show you ways here in just a second because we've really upgraded that this year. But also, we want to be upfront. We're going to be very upfront with your students. I'm going to put a little plug here. It's going to come in later as well. But if you ever want to see what it's going to cost a student to come to SVSU, you can always give them this price. But let's be honest, nobody ever pays full price, right? We have financial aid, scholarships, all these things to factor in. I want you to check out svsu.edu/cost quiz. I think one of my moderators will put it in the Q&A there so that you can have that. But that cost quiz, you can sit down with a student and actually figure out what the cost is going to be for them to attend SVSU. And that's really important. We want to just point out again, we've worked really hard to really stay the most cost-effective institution in the state. And we've done that in ways that are still helpful to our students. So let's talk about some of these updates. What's happening? This is a screen with a lot of writing on, and I know everybody's intention is going to be to run and jump and go directly into the screen and try to read it. Hold on just a second. I want to talk about what test optional means. We just put a podcast out. If you're not familiar, SVSU does have a podcast for prospective families. You can check that out. But we just put one out about what does test optional mean, because for each institution, test optional has been very, very different, and it's causing a lot of confusion for your students. For SVSU, the class of 21, so your current high school seniors, they will not need to submit an SAT or ACT score for admission or for our academic scholarships. I'm going to show you that here in a second. Beyond that, so the class of 22 and beyond, we are continuing to monitor to see how this is working out. We don't think that it will change, but I want to put the caveat out there that we are dedicated to your student success. So if we put this out here and we find that the test optional is not working out and that some of our students are not being successful here, we're going to reevaluate that after every year. But right now, SVSU is fully test optional. Even though we're test optional, we still encourage all students to take the SAT or ACT if it becomes available to them this year. We're going to use that for course placement during their first year. And also it can very much help in certain private scholarship applications at SVSU. It will not be a deterrent. So again, let me say this, they do not need to. We're going to encourage them to help with placement and also to help with certain private scholarships. One of our biggest private scholarships, one that we're very, very proud of, is the Bob and Ellen Thompson Scholarship. This scholarship provides a significant amount of money. It's the last dollar in money for students of need to help them cover their entire cost. The SAT or ACT score is one of the factors that the committee looks at. It's not the only factor, and a student isn't not going to get it, but it can help a student. So what we're saying, what we're telling your families and our students is we're not going to require you to take the SAT or ACT, but if you can, it's only going to help you at SVSU. Right now, students with for the class of 21, if they have a 2.75 GPA or higher coming from your high school, they're going to receive automatic admission to SVSU. Below a 2.75, we're going to be reviewing using other criteria. So we're going to work with them personally to figure out what those criteria might mean. It could mean a letter of recommendation. We are developing a questionnaire for some of these students. It could mean additional material submitted. It's going to depend on the student. So I can't give you a one size fits all. But just know that below a 2.75, we still want them to apply, send us their transcripts, and then we're going to work with that student individually to help them get admitted. This is a process that in our office we're taking very personal. One of the things that we've always done is work very well with our students individually to help and show them and guide them in any way that we can. This is not an institution that just turns its back and says, oh, you're not admitted, good luck wherever you may end up. We're going to help them find any in the best fit and opportunity that they can. And this is part of the process that we're going to help with your students this year if they're below that 2.75. So keep that in mind. So let's talk about those scholarships. In those scholarships, here you can see a breakdown of all the different scholarships that we're offering this year. These, I want you to note very closely that only the GPA is required for these academic scholarships. They're renewable for 4 years towards their degree. A student at a 4.0 or better is going to get automatically a $5,000 Founder Scholarship. All the way down to a student at 3.0 and better is automatically going to be awarded our Faculty Scholarship at $1,000 every year for 4 years along the way. If any of these students, so if they're a 3.0 or better, they're going to get this automatic academic scholarship. If they decide to live on campus, they're going to get this next category right over here of living on campus. That living on campus scholarship is going to give them an extra $1,500. We're calling it our Valley Housing Scholarship to help pay for on-campus housing. So if a student is deciding to come to SVSU and they earn one of those academic scholarships, and then they decide that, yes, they also want to live on campus, we do not require all of our students to live on campus. But if they decide they would like to, we're going to kick in an extra $1,500 towards that. Now, again, I mentioned that an SAT or ACT can always help the student. We have also secured an additional scholarship if they have a very great SAT or ACT score, 31 or above on the ACT or 1380 on the SAT. Not only are they going to get their academic scholarship, whether it's a founders through faculty, we're going to kick in an extra $1,500 academic excellence scholarship. And that one will be just for their freshman year. We want to reward those students who have taken the time to take the SAT and have scored very highly on that. So this is brand new for SVSU, and this is brand new for the class of 21. The last thing I need to mention in here is we are still offering our presidential scholarship. The President's Scholarship is 100% tuition and mandatory fees, and we are continuing the SVSU, the President's Scholarship competition here. Your students before December 1st, and that's very important, before December 1st need to apply and be admitted to SVSU. And if they have a 3.9 GPA or better, we are going to automatically invite them to compete in our presidential scholarship competition. So if you have a student out there that's above the 3.9, tell them the earlier they can apply, the earlier we can get those transcripts, the better it is for them, because we are going to invite them to our presidential scholarship competition. And in that competition, we will be able to make our final selection of all recipients in February of 2021. So they will know. So we are continuing the President's Scholarship, even though we are changing the we removed the SAT or ACT from our academic scholarships. We've made some major changes, and these changes were not made lightly. This wasn't just let's throw something at the wall and see what happens. This all comes from research of what our students and how successful they have been at the institution. So we're trying to reward the students and continue to reward the students that we know are going to be a very, very good fit for SVSU. All of this information can be found on our website. If you go to svsu.edu, you will find we'll have the new scholarships located. It's just a click away in there. So we're excited. These are big, new, good changes for our students, and we know that that for them it means a mountain of opportunity. One other new thing that we have to let you know about is now applying for admission. We no longer are charging an application fee. So our application is 100% free for every student. They simply need to go to svsu.edu, click on the apply button. Once they begin the application process, they need to fully submit the application at the end. They should contact you, whether it's through the Parchment system or if you do it individually, contact you to have those transcripts sent directly to SVSU, and then we will review those and get them admitted as soon as possible. My best piece of advice for students on all things, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, and as educators, I know you all will enjoy this. I remind every family that college is the opposite of kindergarten, right? We all had the little short, pushy kid in kindergarten who used to run and cut in front of the milk line. It was me. It's okay. I can admit that. This is what he grows up to look like. But as we go through, I remind our students that college is the opposite. In kindergarten, we tell our students, just line up. I have a new kindergartner this year, and everything he's learning right now is just to stand on the dot, line up, you will get your milk. Don't cut. I would tell all of your students the earlier they can do things, the more opportunities are going to be available to them. So the earlier they apply, the earlier that we're going to be able to work with them individually to help see if SVSU is the best fit. So continue to encourage them. You know, we used to wait for the month of October to do the free application. We're offering our application for free, so have them apply now and get going on all of those things. I want to talk here towards the end a little bit about what's happening at SVSU now that we're in this post-pandemic world and how are we staying safe. I would highly encourage anyone who is at all has any questions about what SVSU is doing to check us out at svsu.edu/NEST plan. NEST stands for New Expectations for a Safer Tomorrow. As soon as this pandemic hit and back in March, as we started to look and try to plan and figure out what was going to be the best experience for our students, the university came together and came up with a very specific plan on how to reintroduce students back into the institution this fall. A very good set of guidelines. We practice our 5 at all times, and if you want to see what those 5 are, check it out on this NEST plan. We've put a lot of things in place both on campus and in the dorm rooms to help keep our students safe. This is also where we are being very transparent. You know, the latest topic, if you read MLive, even yesterday, a couple institutions had some not so good news come out. SVSU is being very transparent to show the number of cases of COVID-19 that we're experiencing and making sure that we're keeping our students as safe as possible. All of that information can be found at this NEST plan on the website, as well as an update that's updated 3 times a week with any of the new updates of any new cases of COVID-19 that we're experiencing here on campus. It's been obviously in this new world of the pandemic, it's been crazy and things have turned upside down, but it's also, if I can find a silver lining, it's been really refreshing to see our campus come together and to do this safely and to put student, faculty, and staff safety first, as well as student success, and marry those two and see the university come together. I've been very, very proud to be a part of this process and to see what SVSU is doing, and I would put our plan up against anybody. So I'm really, really proud of the work that's happened there. I want to finish, before I throw it back to Jennifer, I want to finish and just remind everybody that we are open. We are open and ready for business. What I mean by that is we have a full slate of virtual experiences that your student can meet with someone like me one-on-one through this Microsoft Teams platform. Maybe they want to do it in a group setting. We also offer a Valley virtual visit twice a week doing that. But we are continuing to add very small numbers of on-campus visits as well. We're one of the few institutions, because of our size, we're able to do that. We're offering several a day in very small personal settings that your students can sign up for. Priority is given to the fall of 21 class right now. So if a student is a high school senior, they can go online and actually book an on-campus experience as well. So we're open and ready to help our students. We're just running some reports recently. Virtually, we've met with more students in the past 6 months than we did last year in the past 6 months in person. So it's been really refreshing to see the engagement we're getting with your students, and we're making sure that we're both accessible, helpful, and are going to be there to celebrate their success at the end, all through, and it starts with this visit. So if your families are ready to do that, then they can do that in any way, both virtual or in person. All of those can be found at svsu.edu/visit. That has been the website where you can go. We're offering also that's where you can find the admissions podcast. Our admissions podcast is been geared towards prospective students to really help answer some of these questions. Recently, we just did a 20-minute episode on what is test optional, because they're all worried about that. Encourage your students to check those out. They've been very helpful for our students. So in closing, I'm going to turn it back over to Jennifer here. I'm going to bring her up live. But in closing, before she says it, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all the work that you're doing and the things that you are experiencing. Coming from an education family myself, I know it's not easy, but know that the work you do really does affect and change lives for the better dramatically. So personally, I just want to say thank you. Jennifer, I believe the floor is yours. Let me bring you here onto our screen. And thank you very much. Jen, you have to unmute yourself. Sorry. She would do that.
Of course. Why wouldn't I? It's the way of our lives now. But thank you very much, Nick, for obviously supplying a lot of great information that we hope you found helpful and informative. We had a lot of different questions coming through in the sidebar chat that Again, we encourage you to, we'll stay on here for another 15 minutes. If you guys have questions, continue to put them in there and we will continue to respond to you. As well as I want to make sure that you know that we have developed our a web page just for high school counselors, and you see it there on the screen, svsu.edu/counselors. And basically we took the FAQs that we've been getting over the last several months, and we've kind of updated things about what does test optional mean. If you ever need reference points to anything that Nick mentioned in the PowerPoint, that is all there online. Everything is hyperlinked, so if you needed a direct reference to a specific section or something additional, you have it right there at your fingertips. And the other thing is we've also put in a link for downloadable resources. So you are able to, if you want a financial aid booklet about SVSU that kind of summarizes cost and scholarships and private scholarships and aid opportunities all in one. It's a full booklet that's there that you can search for. We have a map of the state of Michigan. So if you are looking for who your admissions representative is personally for your individual school, we assign those out by county. There's a map of Michigan you'll find in the downloadable resources with the admissions representative's name and email that you can connect with. Our admission reps are actually going out right now and still offering virtual presentations, anything we can do to help you in your school districts. It doesn't always have to be for high school seniors about what is SVSU. A lot of my reps are very well versed in doing what we call, the college deal breakers, things that you should be looking for and asking for when you're out exploring colleges, things that you should do. We do these for 9th graders, 10th graders. We've had some really good success with the information that we share. It's not just an SVSU plug, it is a specific, how can we help your students better learn what to be asking and go through a process. So those type of visits are available from any of our representatives. We have 4 regional representatives that actually live across the state of Michigan in one of your areas so that it's easier to get to. We have one in Wayne County. We have one in the central part in Livingston County. We have one down in Berrien County who also helps cover some of our out-of-state initiatives. And then also one in Grand Rapids, and then the rest of our reps are based here on campus and remotely, obviously this year, but we're able to come. And a lot of questions have been, are you still doing in-person visits to high schools? And yes, we are able to do visits directly to your school. Right now, we have to have assurance that everything is being done with the proper safety and protocols of, wearing masks and social distancing and things like that. But as long as that's in place, we even have the ability to come to a school in person, which we know is going to be very, very limited in many ways, but virtually we're available and hoping to offer many ways to reach out to your students and give them the information they need. At this point, really, again, as Nick kind of has already said, we are very thankful for what you all do out there. We know it is not an easy time right now, and so we appreciate what you do, and if we can support that in any way, we're here to do that. As you know, you've kind of heard from Nick and I, this is a special place. And when I say that we meet with your students and talk to them about educational opportunities, I believe that SVSU is the best university in the state of Michigan for the right student. And when I say that, I honestly believe that there are some students who will thrive here, and there are some students who maybe would not be a good fit here. That's our goal, is to help them figure out what is it that gives them the best experience of their choice. And so if that's here at SVSU, it's going to be a wonderful experience, and we're here to help them find that. We know that picking a college is a 4-year investment. It's a big decision, and we want it to be the right place for them, because it does us no good and that student no good for them to come and not have a great experience and then decide to leave or transfer. We want it to be the right school from the right choice, and we know that that's very important. So I had a great experience when I was here. Lots of activities, experiences, clubs and organizations I was involved in as an RA and president of my sorority, and the national treasurer for the student body, things like that. It just, I think SVSU is a great place to be, and what people recognize us as is almost more a feeling and operating like a private university rather than a public university. So although we have everything that other public universities have to offer, all the same clubs, organizations, and activities and research and all of that Nick mentioned, it's at a pretty small one-on-one feeling, and that's a special place to be. So with that being said, Keep running your questions, keep posting things. We want you to share all of that. We'll continue to answer questions. Reach out to us individually. You can find our contact information everywhere. And we thank you for your time and spending it with SVSU. So take care.